Welcome back. It's time to make another batch of bear bait, and today we're gonna learn about infusion mash. Let's check it out. So I've got my cooler here, 70 pounds of grain. Based on what I calculated so far, I'll have about 180 pounds. I'm not sure it's all going to fit in here, but this single infusion mash is a simplified process that the British brewers would use. My problem with it is for beer is that you don't get the same flavor profiles from the cooking as you do with a decoction, but for the purposes here, turning this corn into sugar, the starches into sugar, it's going to work pretty good, I think. But so I got 70 pounds of grain. I calculated that I can heat a good 13.5 gallons in here, and then I'm going to I'll get that fire going. I'm going to heat that water up, and I'll put the screenshot, but there's mash calculators available online from different brewing sites, and this one shows that with 70 pounds of grain and 13.5 gallons of water, if I heat that water to 175 degrees and add it to this grain, it should raise the temperature of this grain to 155 degrees, to where our alpha amylase will work to convert starch to sugar. So I'll get that fire going here, and we'll move on to the next step. So I'm going to light this, and if you're worried, this is not a Bible, so I didn't burn a Bible to make this bear bait. But the little known fact that Bibles will not burn if you try to light them with this. Don't believe me? Go ahead and give it a try. But it's a miracle. Take your Bible out to your barbecue and see if you can light it up. I guarantee it won't. I forgot to mention that only a true believer's Bible won't burn. Sorry if there was any confusion there. Anyway, so I've calculated this 13.5 gallons at 175 degrees. When I hit 175 here, it's coming up pretty quicker than I thought it would, just on kind of a modest fire. But when I get to 175 or a little bit higher, I'm going to start transferring it over, and I'm going to monitor the temperature in this cooler. And when it's at 155, I'll put in 3 It's should say it's 1 teaspoon per 5 gallons of amylase. And since I have 13 and a half, I just go with 3 teaspoons, 1 tablespoon. Will go in the cooler, and the cooler will sit for an hour, hour and a half, whatever. And, the conversion will happen, and we should end up with some sweet, sticky corn mash. And then I'm probably going to add some milk and maybe molasses and whatever to give it a little more flavor. But bears seem to like it, and it's economical. It's there's a good amount of weight, which is what we want. This one bear might be, he could be anywhere from 400 to 600 pounds based on what the local guy that has experience with him. So, and I probably have several bears eating on my baits already. So here's the put the screenshot of that brew calculation, and I'll be back when my water's the temp. All right, I am there. I get 176 at the top here. Start to transfer this. Just keep track of it. Hopefully most of it'll fit. $177, about halfway down. See where I am. About 160. Let it kind of stabilize. And I didn't work out the price on this one. It's going to be down there. It's whatever you get your cracked corn for, and then whatever adjuncts you added, milk or sugar or whatever. I might add some sugar to this too, but that will change your price. But even with the milk, it's somewhere down around 13 cents a pound. I'm gonna bring you closer here, and you see how all this You got all the starch floating around in here. And get a temp. Pretty damn good. 156, 157. Let it stabilize a bit. And 155 is the sweet spot. It will work 145 to 160 or so. But that 155 is right there in the wheelhouse for the most amount of fermentable sugars and non-fermentable. Just add to the sweetness. But so I'm going to get this tablespoon of amylase thrown in, and let it sit about an hour and a half, and that's pretty much it, other than any, if I want to add it back to my pot and kind of cook it with some milk, or just mix that in and let that cool it down. I could mix in might mix in some molasses, but I'll be back. So this is the stuff that I got. And checked it a minute ago. It was pretty much right at 156. Mix that in. This, because this is just cracked and it's not really powdered or flaked, I'm going to end up with, I'll have a lot of sugars, but I'll have a lot of starch remaining too, I would imagine. And the kernel of this enzyme breaks down the, I guess it nibbles away at the carbohydrate chains. And it's not really doesn't cause a huge mechanical reduction of the grains, but that's all right. Stuff's starting to expand on its own. What we want, I'm gonna fill these guys up with something sweet and starchy and keep them coming back. Okay, we're in home stretch here, and I've decided to, my corn mash has gotten a little bit sweet, but just a little bit. It's not super sweet, but I had decided ahead of time this is what I was going to do. So I got a 10-pound bag of sugar. I'm going to put about half of this in the keg. And I got some feed molasses. Put a gack of that in there. I'm going to keep some because I'm going to do a bit of a honey burn tomorrow. And then I'm going to add and we're going to add a couple gallons of milk. put that on the fire, and add some of our corn, heat that up. I'm going to cook this a little bit, let some of them sugars caramelize, add it back to the cooler, and that caramely milk molasses goodness will permeate that whole cooler, and that's what I'm going to feed these guys. Some people would talk about how there'd be a ritual or the spirit of the animal, but it really comes down to the work that you want to put into the hunt, and recognizing that these animals are more than just stupid creatures, and we have to honor that in some way. We have to put in the work, and so that's the reason for what I do here. I'm going to salute to you with a bit of homemade wine and a stogie. Heat that up, and I'm going to show you tomorrow. We'll make a video when we set this out. And thanks for stopping by.